Chapter 193 of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Once again, Narada visits Kamsa. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narada, the divine sage, knew that with the killing of Arishta, almost all the myrmidons of Kamsa had been destroyed. He knew that the end of Kamsa was drawing near. Narada decided to precipitate matters and hasten the end. Narada went to the court of Kamsa. He was received with great respect, and after he had seated the rishi on a noble seat, Kamsa said, "My lord, it is quite some time since you thought fit to come and see me. When you were last here..." "I remember," interrupted Narada. "I came to tell you that you were foolish to let Vasudeva keep his other children, that you could not be sure which would be the 8th child of Devaki." He smiled at Kamsa, and Kamsa said, "All my attempts have failed, my lord. When the 8th child came, I rushed to the prison where my sister and her husband had been kept prisoners. Did you know what happened?" Narada said, "I have heard several garbled versions of it. Tell me what exactly happened." Kamsa said, "It was the most humiliating moment in my life. I went there and my sister, poor unfortunate woman, held a female child in her arms. I held out my hand for the child and she said, 'My dear brother, this is not a boy. Please do not be afraid of a woman. Kamsa, spare this child for me. Let me keep her. This is not a son. The prophecy was that my 8th son would kill you, but this is not a son.' I did not pay heed to her piteous cry. I grasped the child in my left hand. You know how I killed the other children? I would throw them in the air with my left hand, and when they descended, I would hold out my sword and they would be cut into 2. In the same manner, I wanted to kill this child. I threw her up, and do you know what happened? The child stayed in the air. I rubbed my eyes to see if it was really happening. It was. I stood there with my right hand and holding the sword, and my left still held aloft, and my face filled with wonder and chagrin. And then he stopped in the middle. Narada, with a smile in his eyes and also with a touch of compassion, said, "And then what happened?" "And then," continued Kamsa, "the child changed its form. It was not a child anymore. It was Devi Parvati. She held all the different weapons in her many hands, and she spoke to me. She said, 'You stupid fool, do you think you can cheat destiny? The son who is to be your death has already been born. As for me, I am going away from you, and I will watch the 8th son of your sister kill you very soon.' The child vanished, my lord. I should never have listened to you. I could at least have let my sister keep her children. I have committed the dread sin of killing children, and I have ill-treated my sister whom I loved so dearly. All because of a few words spoken in the air. I am very unhappy." Narada said, "Did you not make any attempts to trace the whereabouts of your nephew, who has already been born, as the Devi said?" "Of course I have made attempts," said Kamsa. "Several attempts. His presence is not certain, but then all the asuras I have been sending to the 4 quarters have been killed, and they have all been killed by one boy, an youngster if you please. He is the son of Nanda, the chief of cowherds' clan. I have been told that this boy has beauty which is unearthly, but he cannot be the son of Devaki, since he is known to be the son of Nanda and Yashoda." Narada sat silent for a while. He then said, "Kamsa, listen to me carefully. I will tell you where the son of Devaki is." Where is he, my lord?" said Kamsa, jumping up from his throne. "Please tell me quickly so that I can kill him at once." Narada asked him to sit down and said, "If you promise to be calm and listen to me, I will tell you." "I promise to do anything you say," said he impatiently. "Only tell me at once where he is." He is in Vrindavan, said Narada slowly. Kamsa looked puzzled. He then asked, are you trying to tell me that this prince of the cowards, Nanda's son, Krishna as he is called, is this dark-skinned youngster, the supposed killer of Mathura's monarch? You are teasing me, my lord. Once before you advised me wrongly, and I wonder if you are again playing a game with me. No, Kamsa, I am telling you the truth, said Narada seriously. This young dark-skinned boy, this Krishna, is not the son of Nanda. He is Vasudeva's son, and he is going to be your death. Kamsa was speechless with surprise and anger. How did it happen? He said. Vasudeva was in prison all the time. I had them both guarded all the while. The very air could not move inside the prison without my knowing about it. How then could the son of Vasudeva have been born in Vrindavana? You are for once misinformed. It is not possible. I will tell you how it happened, said the divine Rishi, and told Kamsa how Balarama had been transferred from Devaki's womb to that of Rohini, another wife of Vasudeva, who was living in Vrindavana. He then told him in detail about the events which took place on the night of the 8th day of the dark fortnight, how the child was born, how Vasudeva, to protect it from the sword of Kamsa, took it to Gokula, the home of his friend Nanda, and how he exchanged the babies. Kamsa's anger had been growing as the tale went on, and it now reached the limit. He drew out his sword and said, she has deceived me after all, and Vasudeva too. I will this moment go and kill that Vasudeva and his scheming wife Devaki. Narada said, there is no use in you are punishing them now. If you are so desirous, you can imprison them. As it is, you have accumulated enough sin by killing the children. Do not add it the sin of killing a woman and a sister at that. This Krishna has so far killed almost all your myrmidons. Try to get at him somehow. He is getting to be more than a handful. Try to destroy him and all your problems will be solved. Kamsa said he would make every attempt to get the youngster killed. Narada, his mission over, went away from there singing the praises of Narayana, Narayana, as was his custom always. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Chapter 194 of SHRIMADBHAGAWATAM. Kamsa sends for Akrura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kamsa summoned the most powerful Asura in his retinue. His name was Keshi. Kamsa said, look, you must go immediately to Vrindavana and kill those two young men who go by the name of Balarama and Krishna. After dispatching Keshi, Kamsa, the lord of the Bhojas, collected his ministers around him. Among them were Mushtika, Chanura, Shala and Toshala. He also summoned his Mahut. He then spoke to them, friends, warriors, you are all mighty supporters of me and my throne. You have known how I have been seeking the hiding place of the young boy who is supposed to be of the cause of my death. I have now come to know for certain that he is in Vrindavan, the home of Nanda, the cowherd chief. Two boys by name Rama and Krishna are there in Vrindavana, in the homes of Nanda. These boys, I am told, are the sons of Devaki and Vasudeva. I have sent Keshi to destroy them, and I am sure he will come back victorious. If, however, he does not, I depend on all of you to do the needful. You are all famed wrestlers, and when the time comes, I will arrange to have them brought to Mathura. You should arrange arenas for wrestling, and you should destroy these two cowards who are supposed to destroy me. Let these wrestling bouts be so arranged that the entire city will witness it. When the boys are dead, it will seem as though they were killed in fair fight and not by planned attack. Mahamatra, you own the elephant by name Kuvalaya Pida. Bring it to the doorway of the Nartanashala and try to kill these youngsters when they come near you. On the 14th day of the lunar fortnight, I am ostensibly going to perform the yaga by name Dhanur Yaga, where the bows will all be worshipped. You should make preparations for the commencement of the yaga even from now by offering up sacrifices for the evil spirits. Kamsa, who was proficient in the art of wielding all the many weapons, then called Akrura, one of the Yadavas. Placing both his hands in those of Akrura, Kamsa said, "My dear Akrura, you must now do for me something very dear to my heart. You have been a good friend and you should now try to behave as a friend towards me. There is no better well-wisher for me than you among the Bhojas and the Yadavas. In the sacred lores, I have heard that Indra, when he wanted a favor to be done to him, would always approach Narayana. Even so, I am asking you to do me a favor which will benefit me." Akrura waited for him to proceed. He guessed what was coming, but he spoke not a word. Even Kamsa, hardened sinner that he was, had to pause for a while before revealing his thoughts to this good man, Akrura. He said, "Akrura, please proceed to the home of Nanda, the cowherd chief. It is called Brindavana, I am told. The two sons of Vasudeva are there. Bring them to Mathura with you. I cannot brook any delay. I am told by Narada that the Devas went to Narayana and he has told them that he will take a human form and a name for the sake of destroying sinners like Kamsa. Those are the words of Narada. These boys are supposed to be the death of me, but I can protect myself. It is only when man is unprepared for it that death overtakes him. But I will see that these youngsters are killed as soon as they arrive in Mathura. I have so arranged their end that no blame will be attached to my name. Bring Nanda and the entire Gopala clan here. I will punish them all for harboring these boys. But that is all for later days. Now, the first thing is for you to set out as early as possible." Akrura spoke hesitantly and asked, "What exactly are your plans?" Kamsa laughed loudly and said, "First I will arrange it in such a way that they meet my elephant Kuvalayapida. This monster will crush them to powder." Kamsa paused for a moment. Then he resumed in a low voice, "If they survive this, I have then arranged wrestling bouts with Mushtika and Chanura, who, as you know, are as dreadful as thunderbolts. After the killing of these young men, it will be the turn of Vasudeva, all the Yadavas, Bhojas, Dasharhas, and all their kinsmen. Later will follow the death of the old man Ugrasena and his brother Devaka. If there are any more enemies of mine left, they will also walk the way their brothers have trod. The earth will then be rid of all my enemies. Jarasandha, the powerful king of Magadha, is my father-in-law. Dvivida is a very dear friend. Shambhara, Naraka and Bana are three asuras who are very fond of me. They will ever be my friends. With their assistance, I can be the monarch of this entire world and nothing will stand in the way of my ambition." He paused for a few moments. His eyes were dreaming of the day when he would be the sole lord of the entire world. With a shake of his head, he came back to the present and said, "But that is all yet to come. The immediate duty which stares you in the face is your journey to Brindavana. Invite them with a very innocent face. Use soft words and cajole them into accepting my invitation to Mathura. Tell them about the Dhanur Yaga. Describe the beauty of Mathura in glowing terms, and the court country-bred yokels are sure to be thrilled at the thought of seeing the city. Please go and make preparations to leave tomorrow very early in the morning so that you can reach Brindavana soon." Akrura thought for a while and decided to speak a few words of advice. He said, "My king, you said that you consider me to be your well-wisher. I am pleased with the faith you have in my affection for you. It is because of that love I have for you that I dare to speak these words to you. I quite appreciate the plans you have made to save yourself from the killing professed by the heavens. But then, my lord, a man should realize that the success or failure of a plan does not lie in his hands. There are equal chances of the plans succeeding or failing. The wise man should realize this. It is in the hands of the gods and not in his. Man has great aspirations. He dreams of many things which he is sure to do. He has many noble thoughts and ignoble thoughts which crowd his mind. But he forgets one thing. Once the gods have decided to destroy a man, no amount of cleverness on his part will avert the fate that is in store for him. Please remember my words. As for me, I am but a courtier in your Sabha, and it is my duty to obey you. I will proceed to Vrindavana tomorrow and bring Rama and Krishna to Mathura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Chapter 195 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Keshi is killed. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In the meantime, the Asura by name Keshi went fast towards Vrindavan. He was eager to do what his master had asked him to do. He had so many comrades and they had all been killed by this young boy called Krishna. Ever since Putana died, ever since she went away from their midst, this chain of calamities began to happen and it had not ceased. He had been missing his companions, Denuka, Arishta, Baka, and so many others. Whoever this Krishna might be, Keshi was sure he could tackle him. Nothing was too difficult for him who had a long series of killing to his credit. He wanted to avenge the death of his friends without whom life had become so dull for him. He would succeed where the others had failed. So, with great expectations, he went to the hated place, Vrindavan. Keshi was famed for the shape of a horse, which he was wont to assume when he went on his escapades. Even so, here in Vrindavan, he proceeded towards the haunts of Krishna in the form of a horse. His frame was immense and his speed was equal to that of the mind. His mane flew in the breeze and the clouds in the sky were scattered here and there. So great was the speed of the horse. His eyes were large and red and his mouth breathed fire. His long and powerful neck was terrible in its beauty. He was dark like a rain-bearing cloud. His mind was black and sinful like the darkest of nights. His neighing could be heard for miles around, and his hoofs stamped the earth and seemed to rend it with every footfall of his. While he was galloping here and there, looking for Krishna, his enemy, Krishna knew who he was and why he had come. He stood apart and signaled to the horse to come near him. Keshi roared like a lion. Then, angry like a thunderbolt, fast as the wind during a storm, he rushed towards Krishna, who had the audacity to beckon him. He came close to the young boy and opened his mouth wide as though he wanted to drink in the entire sky. He then kicked Krishna with his hind leg. Krishna nimbly stepped out of the angle of the kick, and suddenly he grabbed the legs which had just missed kicking him. Holding him firmly in both his hands, he raised the horse aloft like Garuda lifts a king cobra before killing it. Krishna twirled the horse in his arms like a discus and flung it away from him. It fell 100 yojanas away from there. Keshi was so strong that he was not killed. His mouth was red with blood which was gushing from his mouth, but he came again to kill Krishna. Krishna smiled with glee and thrust his arm into the mouth of Keshi, which was wide open. Like a snake enters its hole, the arm of Krishna entered the mouth of the Asura. But once inside, the arm began to swell to immense proportions. Keshi was finding it difficult to breathe. He sucked air in great gulps But even that was made impossible after a few moments. His huge body was now covered with sweat. His eyes rolled desperately and his legs were kicking desperately. With a last futile attempt to breathe, Keshi died. When he was lying still, Krishna withdrew his arms from inside the mouth of the Asura and told himself that this Asura was almost the last one to have been sent by Kamsa to kill him. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishna Pranamast. Chapter 196 of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Sage Narada visits Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narada came to Krishna and prostrated before him. He spoke to him sweet words of praise. He then, in secret, spoke to Krishna about the role he had to play in the present avatara of his. Narada said, Krishna, O Krishna, you are formless, have taken on the form of a human being for the good of mankind. You are Yogeshwara and you are the Lord of the universe. You are the home of everything. Everything is born of you and is later withdrawn into you. You are Ishvara who lodges inside the heart of everyone and everything, like the fire Arani which dwells unseen in the log of wood. You are the Antaratman. You are the Mahapurusha. With your Maya, you make the three gunas appear, and with these three gunas, you make the universe appear in its entirety. You create the universe, you sustain it and you destroy it yourself. That infinite truth, that Paramatma, which is you, has thought fit to be born on this sinful earth in the world of men with but one purpose, destruction. The Daityas of old have been born on the earth in the form of kings, also Asuras and Rakshasas. The earth has reached the limit of her patience, and you have taken this form to destroy these Daityas and Asuras to establish Dharma, since there is a great fear of its being forgotten entirely by the world of men. This Keshi, whose neighing would frighten even the Devas, so much so they would run as far as they could, this Keshi was killed by you like a worm is crushed by the foot of an elephant. It was a great sight to watch. 2 days from today, my lord, I will have the pleasure of seeing you kill Mushtika and Chanura. Later, there will be the killing of Shanka, Kalayavana, Murra, Narakasura. I will then see you taking the Parijata tree from the heavens, and there will be a treat in store for us watchers when you fight with Indra. I will see you married to the many young maidens. Drika will attain moksha in Dwaraka. There will then be the incident of Syamantaka Jival and your marriage with Bhama. You will then rescue the boys from Mahakalapura. This will be followed by the killing of the famed Paundraka Vasudeva, who will challenge you to fight with him. The city of Kashi will be burnt by you. Later, in the yaga by name Rajasuya performed by your cousins, the Pandavas, you will kill Shishupala. In the city of Dwaraka, you will stay to the delight of poets and your devotees. You, who are Kala himself, will later realize the reason for your coming to this earth, to lessen the burden of the earth and to relieve her. You will then be the charioteer of your cousin, Arjuna, and you will destroy Akshohini after Akshohini of armies during the great war that is to be fought in Kurukshetra. O thou, who are the form assumed by the formless, who are the pure intellect, pure knowledge, pure realization of the truth, we salute you. You are Ishvara who, with his Maya, creates the Vishwa, the universe made up of the Mahat, Aham Tattvas. For your own pleasure you have deigned to don this human form, and to you my salutations. After prostrating before Krishna, Again and again, Narada went away with great elation in his heart. The time of waiting was over. The play was about to begin. 2 days more and the earth would be rid of Kamsa, and with that, as the beginning, great events would be set in motion. They were waiting in the womb of time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishnarpanamast.